please, we beg, help us.
Men love respect. That is all. Your ability to care for the woman, to love the woman, will bring out the best from her. And so that's what men ought to know about women.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the PV Show. On this week's episode, we want to find out how well you are psyching yourself for marriage as you are waiting for the D-Day. So stay tuned and enjoy the show. So someone comes to you and tells you that, okay, I want to marry your sister. You look at this man and you see so many things in him, all right. But then what really makes such a person a marriage material for your sister?
I always want to go back to the genesis of marriage. Okay. God created Adam. The Bible makes us to understand when you read Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. First, Adam was in God's presence when God created him. He didn't move further away from God's presence. And so, is a person in God's presence. What I mean is, does he have a relationship with God? Is a person spiritually inclined? So that's the first thing you want to look out for. And when God created the man, he placed him in the Garden of Eden. There was a physical location. Maybe he had a GPS address. Now, where is the man physically? We could talk about his accommodation, his work. Where does he work? It could be virtual. These days, people don't create physical offices. It could be virtual, but the person should have something doing. So God placed Adam in the Garden of Eden, and then he gave him an assignment. He asked him to dress the garden, which was work. So Adam had something doing. He was a manager. He was managing God's resources. So is the man able to manage the things around him? His resources, his family, his siblings and all that. Is he able to manage certain things? Aside he dressing it, he was also asked to keep it. Is this man able to keep what he has? Or is the type that let things go? These are things that you have to observe, and you observe by the things the person does, and then by interacting with the person, so that you get to know what the person does. And then also when you look at the commandment that God gave Adam, that they shouldn't eat of the forbidden fruit, Eve wasn't present. So it was Adam that communicated this information to Eve. And so he was a leader. He was going to be the head of the family. So God gave him the instruction. He gave it to Eve. So the man should be able to lead, hear from God, communicate it to the family. The wife first. When children comes in, then the family. So the man should have these and other qualities in order to be a marriageable material.
Let me just add one or two. Another thing is, what is the husband in this man? What I mean is that what future plans? What he has his future plans for his family? Because yes, you manage things. You will make sure that things that are given to you are managed, but just managing is not enough. You need to increase what you have been given to manage, and that will call for your plans for the future. What do you want to do? What are your plans for your wife or your children in the future? If you marry and you don't have a future, definitely children will be coming in. There will be demand here and there if you don't prepare for the future. So you need to know, ask the man, what are your future plans when you get married and all that. Yeah.
All right. So Mr. Sam, we want to take a look at some principles in marriage. Are there some principles at all? And if there are principles, can you share some of them with us?
There are principles that govern marriage. As I mentioned earlier on, God is the architect of marriage. He instituted marriage, and even when Moses digressed a bit, made the law for divorce, Jesus made reference to God's institution, and then he said one man, one wife. So one principle guiding marriage is that one wife, one man, one wife. That's the first principle. And so polygamy is out of order so far as God's principle for marriage is concerned. And then also it is one's ability to love and respect. Once you come together, you stay together, there's a need to respect each other. Once that is in place, sometimes we allow familiarity and all that to mar the marriage relationship, but then once we keep that respect for each other, we don't allow familiarity to set in, then we are able to build a relationship that glorifies God.
Okay. All right. So now let's take, if you have some of the principles to add.
I made mention of communication,
Okay.
which is very important. You know how to relate with your wife depending on the way you communicate. And another thing is trust, which is a very foundation of whatever relationship. Because if I met you as a friend and I need to tell you something, I need to build first of all the trust in you that what I'm telling you, you keep it as secret as we discuss. And then love and affection, my brother mentioned. And one important thing is that marriage is not about you. It's about the other person. The husband thinks of her, the wife thinks of him. So it's a kind of selfless service to each other. Another thing, submission, my brother mentioned it, and then patience. The Bible says, let's live with them according to knowledge. There are some women, I'm not against women, but there are facts that sometimes, because they don't understand us, men are straightforward, women go around one thing. If we don't understand them or we don't have patience for them, you will not be able to understand them. So you need a lot of patience.
All right. So now let's take a look at this particular issue. You are ready for marriage. God has led you to someone, and then you are waiting for the person's proposal. Though the person may be close, the person is close, you know the person knows you, but you've not communicated what God has told you to the person. So how should you behave around such a person? What should be the relationship? When God reveals someone to you, do you need to get closer to the person or stay back a little bit?
We need to change position.
Okay, so go with Brasa.
No, that's okay. That's all right. Generally, I know where I'm coming from, okay. So I will tackle it from general perspective. Okay. All right. God has revealed somebody to you. You've not made your intention known to the person. How should you live around the person? Sometimes we need to be careful about some of these things. The person is not aware or might not be aware that God is leading you to her or him. For all you know, his mind or her mind is on another person. Now, the way you approach the person, the way you talk to the person, will either make the person to have a rethink or to tell you blatant, no, you are not the type. You understand? How do we do that? It's not time to see the person and be laughing all the way as if somebody who has won a lottery, or you see the person, you pass the other way and all that. You relate normal. Just until the time you've made your intention known to the person, and even that, you still need to keep certain distance, because we are talking about Christian marriage. You need to build the Christian marriage on a solid foundation devoid of anything called sin or evil. Because the very moment you build a foundation on evil or sin, that marriage, if God doesn't come in early, might collapse. So you need to still be around the person. It's not a strange thing. You be the same person, normal person, relating. If you used to greet the person before, greet the person the same way. You used to chat with the person, chat the same way. I believe so. Until you made your intention known to the person.
Okay.
I don't know if my brother has something to add there.
What's your take on this matter?
I think I'll make a first statement. There will be no need to be hypocritical about it.
Yeah.
You must build certain values and build certain principles in life in general, so that it is not when you have gotten to the point of marriage that you begin to change. Once you build certain principles and certain values, it runs through life, and so you will not allow yourself to be influenced by gifts. It's a principle that you build in life, so that once you've seen somebody, you are not trying to influence the outcome of the proposal by probably giving gift or doing something to get the person's attention.
Yeah.
Just go through life, as I said, be normal, don't be hypocritical. And once you do that, because whatever your character is, it will show up at the end of the day. And so if you enter into marriage pretending, and then it begins to show up, that is where some people begin to have challenges in marriage. And so in order to avoid those challenges, be who you are, build those principles, biblical principles, because we are talking to Christians. Build those biblical principles and then relate normally to everybody, just as you relate to your spouse. Dress well. I mean, it is not now that you are going to probably buy the most expensive dress in order to show off. When you do that, you are sort of influencing the outcome of the proposal. So if you look, you don't need to buy the most expensive dress to look good, but then even if it's one cloth, always make sure that you wash it, you press it, you are looking good, you behave that way, that people accept you for who you are. And once they accept you for who you are, entering into marriage, you build a perfect union and you are able to make progress.
Okay, so be normal, live your life, just live your life and don't change because God has shown you something. Just be yourself, and that is what our guest speakers are telling us this evening. So what if this person, you can see the person is showing signs that he or she is interested, and you are not interested in such a person? What should be your attitude towards such a person? Okay.
It still comes back to what I mentioned earlier on. You have built your principles, you know your values, and so whatever, you don't get influenced by the things around you. You live inside out, not outside in. So you don't allow the things around you to influence your reactions and behavior. And so once you have built your principles, if somebody is making advances towards you, you know that as a lady, you will not allow guys to get too close to you. You will not visit them at all hours and all that. These are principles that you have built. And so even the person knowing that you hold in esteem these values will not make those advances towards you. And so sometimes the advances that come the way of certain sisters and even the vice versa, it is because of what we have allowed. But if you have built certain biblical principles and certain values and all that, the person will not even come near you with such things until he probably has gone through the proper channel, and then he knows that he's formalizing the marriage process.
Okay. So let's talk about gifts. You are still waiting for marriage, and gifts are coming in from the opposite sex. Someone will say, I didn't ask for it, and the person brought it. So for God to bless the person, I have to take it in so that God can bless the person. So as a single person preparing for marriage or waiting for that day, is it right to take gifts from the opposite sex?
The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 31 verse 30 that favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but the woman that fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Gifts have a way of influencing an outcome of a decision. You may claim you don't need it, you didn't ask for it, but you cannot deny the fact that it has some kind of influence on you. Supposing you take all those gifts and later the person comes and says, I'm being led to you. You might not see the person, or you might not have that kind of affection for the person, but because of what you might have received from him from the past, you will find it difficult. Even if you have to say no, you find it difficult to say no. I mean, from both sides. I get in it. So I won't advise that a lady especially to be taking gifts or receiving gifts from people, or from, especially from men, because I'm a man and I was a man and I continue to be a man. What I mean is that I was a man in the world, I'm a man in Christ now, and I'll continue to be a man in Christ. A man won't give you anything for free. I mean, I'm not saying that there are no genuine ones. There are genuine ones, but greater majority of men wouldn't give a woman anything for free. If he didn't ask for it today, tomorrow he asks for it. So it's not advisable. As much as you can, avoid it. You might not need it, or you might even need it, but your refusal to take, oh, thank you very much, I need this, but I can't take it from you respectfully, you build some kind of self-confidence that you are not a person who rely on men to cater for yourself. It gives you some kind of sense of humanhood. Okay, but if always it's like somebody send this gift, you take, another person, what if you receive from 5 men and all of them say God is leading them to you? Which one do you choose? Then you become a bit materialistic when it comes to marriage, which is not good.
Mr. Sam, your take on this, but we'll add another question to yours. Is it also advisable to visit the person? You are not yet married, all right, but then maybe the person is not feeling well. You want to pass by and check up on the person. There are people that even go to the extent of going to clean the house of the person and do washing and all that.
Holy visitation.
Yes, is it advisable?
Let me talk about the gifts.
Okay.
There are some gifts that you receive from people, and the person has probably discovered a need in your life. Maybe before the person brought it, he or she does not have any intention of getting married to you, or God might not have spoken to the person at that time, and so he gives it out of a free will and all that. Just like you said, you receive it because you want God to bless the person. Now later, if the person comes and then he says God is leading him to you, you should be bold enough to tell the person no, if God is not leading you to that person. That is why we need the Spirit of God in us. There are times that when a gift is meant to influence the outcome of a decision, God can prompt you and you will reject such gifts. And so you being led by the Spirit of God in a waiting period is important, so that you know which gift is meant to induce or sort of influence some decision, or which gift is from a genuine heart. Sometimes if the gift is from a genuine, the person might not even give it to you directly, might pass through somebody, and then you receive it. You must want to look for the person will say, the person wants to remain anonymous. And so the spirit leading at that point is key. And once you know that you receive that gift genuinely from the person, if the person comes, you should be bold enough to tell the person no. The person might be heartbroken, but it's better to listen to God than to look at the condition of a man's heart at that point.
And better to break courtship than marriage.
It's better to break
courtship
than marriage.
Than break marriage.
Okay, and what about the visitation issue?
Yeah, at that point, it is something that you do.
Oh, maybe once a while the person just wants to pass by, check up on the person, and then to the extent of the cooking and the washing and those ones, people really do that.
It's not advisable to do that as a sister, because it's just like you've married a person. If you start cooking, and that's how come most people that are outside Christ have problem with their relationship, because the person sees you always, you are working for the person, he doesn't value you much. But in order to place value on yourself, you must not, if you even want to go to the person, you must be accompanied by a matured person, so that there will not be that temptation, or you will not regret later. And so it is a no for a sister. If you want to do it, you must do it with wisdom.
Alright, so we have a question here. There are a lot of pretensions. Okay, let me take it again. There are a lot of perceptions when it comes to those preparing for marriage. Some think you should get everything you need before stepping in, while others think getting something small to start is okay. What's your take on this?
Okay, thank you very much. Getting everything and getting the basics, at least. I would advise that you get the basics, because what you think is plenty or enough might not be enough for the woman you are going to marry. Now, the issue is that somebody is there thinking that I need to get a 3-bedroom, I need to get a car, I need to buy a washing machine, I need to fill my house with all the welcome stuff and everything before getting a man, or before getting a woman in that case. And the question is that, how much is your income? How much are you earning? If you are earning anything less than a certain amount of money, it might take you like 5 years, 6 years, 10 years even to get all those things. I would advise that basically get the basic thing, you understand? But then you have seen a woman you want to marry. I think it's part of the courtship discussion that you need to brush up together. This is what I have, this is how much I'm earning, and this is a house, or this is a place I want us to live in. If the woman is okay, then you are okay. But if it's not, then you either delay whatever courtship it is to get all those things first. And what you need in the house, the basic things, get the basic things in the house. That, after all, it is not the things you have in your room that makes marriage work. It is contentment with godliness. The woman is satisfied that whatever it is, we know this is not where we were, or this is not where we are going to be. So let's start with whatever we have, and then we'll move forward from there.
Mr. Son, your take on this?
I think God places us in places for us to get some of these things resolved. for most of us as Christians, we have a denomination we belong to, and there is a marriage setup that looks into all this. Just like it said, for some, the basic things that you think you have might not be, because it depends. And so the marriage setup in your denomination might have their own way of setting a benchmark so that everybody can fit into it. And so your ability to submit to them so that they, and be truthful about it. I have this, I have that. And you discuss also with your spouse. If there is a need to work more harder, get an extra, means of income in order to catch up, meet those standards that will be set for you, it's important you do so, because you don't also want to bring somebody's daughter into your home and discomfort the person. You want to at least make sure that you've gotten the basis right, so that the person comes in, you can build from there. Because one merit of the marriage union, it comes with power. One chases 1,000, two chases 10,000.
Yeah.
And so once the person comes in, you're able to do more. So get the basis right, but it should be according to standard. Once you meet that, you are good to go.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we leave, we have another question. As a result of some past abusive relationship, it has affected some people to the extent that they have vowed not to give into relationship and not to talk of marriage at all. How do you psych a victim in this situation?
It's a very important question, and it's something that is troubling, especially women in these days. They enter into one relationship and it's like backfires, and enter another one is like abusive, and they've now decided that no, enough is enough and all that. How do we get back that person into? Now, you must first of all recognize what it was at first that made you to enter into that relationship. Sometimes it is immaturity. Immaturity plays a kind of major role in our lives. You see somebody, oh, he's beautiful, he's handsome, especially women who are so freaking out when they see men with the beard and all that and shaped, nicely shaped. They're like, duh, this is the end of it. And then you enter and you realize that no, it is not the beard that will keep that relationship. You understand? Then you become frustrated. Number two, what do you want in a relationship? When we're going through this, I was discussing with my brother that no, marriage is like politics. Okay, you are the voter, and then somebody comes to you with a manifesto. You choose, you read all the manifestos from this party, this party, this party, and then looking at them, which one best suits you? Do you understand? Then you go for that person. In that case, whenever you make mistakes, you know you made a choice. Are you getting it? How do we get such people back to prepare their mind for relationship? First, think of what sent you there and correct them. You understand? And number two, don't leave God out of that situation. Sometimes when it happens like that, we feel the answer to that situation is being alone. No, it is not being alone. Find the confidence. Find God. You understand? All the mistakes that has landed you there, reverse them. Do you understand? Definitely, it's just a momentary thing. With time, you get healed, and immediately you get healed, there will be that feeling that you want to have a man or a woman in your life. So just pass on, and don't hang on somebody's actions and then forfeit your future. The thing is that sometimes we think this is what we say: all men are the same. As if we have tasted all of them. All women are the same. As if we have slept with all of them. Excuse me to say. Do you understand? But they are not the same. They may have certain characteristics that run through them, but they are not the same.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Mr. Sam, your take on this issue. How do we psych a victim of an abusive relationship for marriage?
All right, so there are two set of people that I want to talk about. There are the first group, those who before they entered into those kind of relationships didn't know Christ, and so they've made mistakes in the past. Now they've got to know. The Bible says it is not good for a man to be alone, and anything that is not good is bad. So you remaining single means it's bad, and so you will have to, in one way or the other, get into marriage. The fact that you have had you've entered into some previous relationship and it didn't work when you didn't know, Christ forgives, and then he makes you a new creature. And so now that you have made a new creature, you have met people who are also in Christ. Their mind is renewed. Whatever they do is not as the people you met before you became a Christian or before you met Christ. And so that should give you enough confidence to enter into the marriage union in the circle of Christendom. And so that should give you enough confidence. And you must forgive yourself. There are some people who dwell in the past and they allow that to eat them up so much that they are fearful to enter into their future. And so forgive yourself. Have confidence in the God that you serve. Listen to him. He will direct you to the right person, and the new relationship that you will get into will be better than what happened.
Thank you very much. Before we leave, your final words.
All right. Just like to tell viewers that marriage is a very beautiful thing, and depending on the way you handle it, very beautiful but challenging, and it should not be entered into without first of all God. You need to consult God, you need to pray about it, and you need to also learn a lot of things about yourself, because you are going into a relationship where you don't know the person, and worst of all, you don't even know who you are. So at the end of the day, there is so much conflict that you cannot handle. Then you just pack out and all that. But as young people planning to enter into marriage, I would advise that we keep ourselves holy, righteous, depending on God and waiting on God for that person that God will bring on your way. Make marriage look like heaven on earth, and prepare your mind, prepare yourself financially, materially, and all that before you even start talking to somebody or planning to get into marriage.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll take your final words as well.
Thank you very much. Marriage is how you make it. Behind the wedding smiles and all the pictures that couples take that they flash social media with are challenges that couples deal with, and you might not know those challenges. That is why it's important that as a bachelor or a spinster, you should be able to build a stronger relationship with God, and then build on your career. Whatever you are doing, make sure that you make progress. Build on your self-esteem. Don't allow somebody to devalue you or belittle you. Make sure that you position yourself in a point or a position where you have placed value on yourself, and build your level of resilience, because challenges will come, difficulties will come. It's not going to be all rosy. When you build your level of resilience, you will be able to overcome all of those challenges, and you can't do it without prayer. You can't do it without the word of God. Pray a lot, read the Bible, make sure that you build a stronger relationship with God, and with God on your side, there is nothing you cannot overcome.
Alright, thank you very much. It's a great honor to have you on the
Thank
show.
you very much.
So there are some key points I picked from this interview. Marriage is how you make your marriage beautiful, care for your partner, and pray a lot. I'm sure you picked a lot of things from this interview, and we would want you to leave your comments and any questions you have, so that we send it to our guest speakers to give us the answers, and we'll bring it back to you. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of the PV Show. If you haven't subscribed to the PV Show, make sure you click the subscription button down there to subscribe. Thank you and stay safe.